Hello and welcome back to Watchbox. Better late than never. It's snowing here in Philadelphia.
My fault. Sorry,
Some
guys.
things have changed since our Miami days. Josh is here though. His Uber made it through the snow, come hell or high water, or hard water in this case.
Oh, God.
But we're back. Guys, welcome. This is This Week in Watches. Okay, Josh, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Show me what you're wearing tonight for the first big snowfall of the season.
Jeez, okay, so I got my handy-dandy, trusty Panerai 380, 72-hour hand-wound power reserve. It's one of the lower-priced Panerais you can buy. It's one of my favorite. Today I have it actually on a croc strap. It's actually on a strap made for Radomir, and I forgot, with all my aftermarket straps, I forgot like how beautiful this watch is with the the proper strap. It totally changes the watch. I don't know if you guys have seen it with some of my other aftermarket straps, but this is, I've kind of fallen back in love with the watch again.
I would have to say that the watch looks twice as expensive on Alligator. And
Yeah.
no, guys, you rarely see a Panerai on Alligator. It's generally calfskin or some kind of rubber or textile. That makes the watch. And if anyone ever wonders why I always say a wire lug Radomir is your best dress Panerai, forget precious metal, forget the Duet. That thing has a gorgeous versatility and elegance, and all you needed was a black Alligator strap.
Yeah, it completely changed the watch. And then what do you got?
Okay, I'm gonna one-up you.
Go for it.
On an all-is-change basis.
Look at that.
Didn't see this coming, did ya?
Ah, an oldie and a goodie.
An oldie and a goodie from my days in the Great White North for the first big snow of the season. I'm wearing the watch that I wore through college in New Hampshire. This was my high school graduation watch. Omega Seamaster Professional, the original Bond, the 2531. This thing was with me for negative 20-degree weeks. Not nights, guys, weeks.
Oh, God,
so I can't think of any better candidate for tonight. Well, yeah, other than the JLC Snowdrop, but that one is about to go in for service. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Check this out.
You've never seen one of these before, right?
Well, I've seen many of them, but I
That's
really like this watch.
That watch, when it's serviced, will run half a second a day. That is a tough watch. Now, let me show you one more thing real quick.
Go for it.
Guys, this one's got battle damage. You can see if you can get it off angle, you can see it still actually has scratches in the sapphire.
Oh, yeah.
Right here. You could see them just barely in the light, where I actually crashed this on a bike. Yes, I crashed it while riding a bicycle at over 20 miles an hour, and I had bone showing through my wrist.
Oh,
That's
nice.
the extent of the damage to the watch right there.
Is that the crash in Florida?
No,
Okay,
this was a crash just before I joined the Navy when they asked, do you have any injuries we should know of or past injury history? Of course not. No.
Except for this massive crash I got.
I've never fallen, even though I'm bleeding through my shirt.
Oh, dude, that's funny, man.
All right, guys, remember, subscribe to the channel if you like our content here, and also comment in the box below so I know what you're thinking. Do you like? Do you not like? Do you have questions? Remember, Monday is mailbag. Get started on your questions in the comment threads below. Also, remember, if you're watching the recorded version, the link to the best article of the week is in the description box below. All right, right now, Josh also sells watches. I just want to throw that out there. Watch You Want from Miami became the watch box of Philadelphia, part of the greater Govberg family. We are the premier name in pre-owned watches. We buy, trade, and we sell, and we make it fast, we make it fun, and we give you options like trades that you don't conventionally get when you sell a watch on your own. So guys, remember to check out thewatchbox.com. All right, self-promotion aside, we're gonna play this or that. I'm gonna give Josh two phenomenal watches, tell you about them, and then he's gonna pick and tell us why he chose the one he did. Sweet. Okay, this or that, jump hour giants of independent horology. Let's start with the sexiness of 2017. I think one of the best watches of the year at any price from any brand. It's the FP Journe Vagabondage III. Okay, the V3, the third in its series that started in 2005. This is a watch that is actually fairly compact, about 45 millimeters from lug to lug, about 38 across the case, and only about 7.98 millimeters thick. This is a tonneau-shaped watch that has a dial-side power reserve, a jump hour, and here's the kicker, the first digital jumping seconds indication. That's right, it has a jump every second. Ooh. Now this is a watch available in rose gold or in platinum. This is a watch that is a world premiere. The caliber 1514 inside is made of 18 karat rose gold, and incidentally the reverse side of this watch, showing that caliber 1514 in rose gold, is the only facet of the watch that features the name of the maker. A tradition started with the first Vagabondage in 2005. FP Journe is written nowhere on the face of the watch. You can't see the name of the maker unless you take the watch off. 40-hour power reserve with a dial side power reserve indicator, beautifully finished with triple finish. You can see there's actually beautiful anglage on the edges of the bridges. There's Côte de Genève, there's a perlage on the base plate, and a free-sprung balance. This is a watch that is going to be made in 69 pieces in rose gold, 68 pieces in platinum, 54,500 US for the rose gold, about 56,500 US for the platinum. But what I've heard is that you need to own a Vagabondage II to take delivery new.
That's the rumor. Or, you know, you have to be a substantial Journe owner in order to take delivery on these watches.
Exactly. It's like owning the V12 Ferrari that lets you buy the next V12 Ferrari. Is that an official policy? I can't say, and neither will they, but it's heavily rumored. Okay, here's your alternative, and I got to admit my sentimental favorite. De Bethune DB28 Digitale. This is a watch that came out in 2014. It wasn't the first De Bethune jump hour, that was the DBS, but it is the most exquisite. This is a watch 45 millimeters by 11.6 millimeters thick with spectacular pivoting articulated lugs, and they have two different lug lengths that you specify from the factory when you order the watch, and you can have swapped out when you send it in for service. This allows this rather large watch to wear compact, and I can attest to that. Plus, it features jumping hour, scrolling minutes, and a 1,112-year three-dimensional spherical moon phase made of fired steel and blue and palladium. As if it could not get any better, everything you see on the dial that is blue is fired titanium with inset white gold stars, and a barley corn guilloche turned on a real rose lathe done the old-fashioned way. You can see the dial is not just about the jump display. Everything is sensational. And it has a caliber 2144 manual with a 5-day power reserve, twin barrels, an architecture that is in itself a work of art. And you'll also note a white gold and silicon balance that's both immune to changes in temperature and visually exquisite. Plus, note the triple parachute shock protection system, both sides of the balance bridge and the center over the balance staff. You'll pay a pretty penny at 115,000 US to get this. It's not a limited series, but you know what? You're probably never going to see more than one in a single place. Josh, which one is your choice?
So, well...
And let me ask, do you have to think about it?
Yeah, well, okay. So, I always put a little bit of thought into these, right? Even though it seems like it might be an easy answer on the surface. De Bethune makes some really, really cool watches. How many watches do they make a year, roughly?
Roughly 400,
okay,
so about half as many as Journe,
right,
to be
so
honest.
Journe is a very small boutique manufacturer, and De Bethune makes half the watches. Though they are a bit of a polarizing brand, they make very funky, like space age looking watches, and obviously this is one of them. In your opinion, which one would you say is more highly finished?
In terms of finish, I would have to say that the De Bethune, mostly because of the work done on the dial side of the watch. The movement is excellent, but the unique treatment of the dial, like for instance, you know, Journe is going to use more of a stamped guilloche on most watches. The hand guilloche with the rose lathe is special. The blued titanium is something no one else is really doing, to be honest. And I have to say that in terms of total finish, I'm going to give it to the Digitale, but I will say that the Journe movement is probably more highly finished than the somewhat industrial execution of the caliber 2144 and the Digitale.
Gotcha. Okay. So in a level of finishing, hand finishing, the De Bethune maybe wins a little bit, but in the cool factor and the fact that there's no one else who's ever made a jump seconds watch, I'm going to have to go with the FP Journe. In platinum, by the way. We've seen both in person. I've never seen the Digitale in person, though I have seen that case style from a De Bethune. It's really interesting. Doesn't really fit my wrist that well, though it doesn't mean that, you know, the watch is not fantastic.
I would say there are things to recommend the Journe. First, it costs a lot less money.
Yeah, I think it's an $82,000 retail roughly in there somewhere.
Oh no,
right?
I think it's even less. I want to say it's like around 60.
Yeah, I think platinum is a little bit higher, but yeah, I think you're right about that.
So not a really expensive watch. I would even say the De Bethune probably costs twice as much. I'm not going to say it's very expensive, because if the thing said Richard Mille on the dial, it would cost 4 times as much as what Journe's asking.
Watch.
Yeah, we're talking the difference. It goes from being the difference between buying like a nice BMW and buying like a small house. So I think the Journe is very nicely priced.
Oh yes, relatively, absolutely.
I'll also say this: with the Digitale, cover up the jump hour display, and it looks like a lot of other De Bethune DB25 and DB28 watches. Whereas with the Vagabondage, there's no other series from Journe that looks like that, except maybe the Elegant, and then only a fool would confuse them.
Right, of course. And well, it's one thing that's kind of interesting, and the reason why you don't see Journe himself, his name on the dial, is because it's not a chronometer.
That's correct.
That's the reason why. So and that's from the man himself. He let us know that, which is interesting. You know, his standards are so high that even one of the coolest watches ever made by one of the coolest watchmakers ever, he won't put his name on the front. Yeah, because it doesn't meet his horological standards.
So it's less common, it's unmistakable for anything else. It's a world premiere, it's priced better. My heart still says De Bethune, but make no mistake. We've got one heart voting for the De Bethune and two heads and one heart voting for the Journe, so I think the Journe takes it, guys.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to add about the Journe, seeing one in person, it always looks like it's about a second away from breaking. It's like a nerve-wracking watch to watch. As the seconds jump, it's crazy.
It looks like the countdown timer for like a steampunk bomb. That's the best way to describe it.
That's exactly right.
All right, I see we got
super interesting watch.
Hollywood. We got a friend, Simon Holt, joining us from Hollywood, Northern Ireland. All right, he's voting for the Journe. We're from Hollywood, Florida. You're from Hollywood, Northern Ireland. Anyone here from Hollywood, California want to sound off? Like, does such a thing exist? All right. We got Joshua Polanski, we got Area K, Peter B, AH, Thin Lizzy Fly Today, we got Luke C, Paul Rupert, Nocturnal Mind. By the way, guys, if you are past clients of Josh, sound off in the chat box. We always want to give a shout out to our closest friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, guys, tonight, Josh, I want to update on Instagram. Guys, if you want to see some De Bethune tonight, DB22, I'm going to be posting a cool wrist shot. I've already posted a caseback video alongside a spectacular pocket watch powered AP. Check me out, Tim_Mosso on Instagram. I update daily and I try to keep it fun and fast. Josh, what's your Instagram handle?
It's Mr. Thanos, so MR, my last name Thanos, and you can check me out. I'm always posting cool watches. The cool thing about what I do is that I get to see all the coolest watches as they come in before they ever hit the website, probably 3 weeks before. So you'll always see that on my feed.
Yeah, the chain is pretty much Josh's Instagram, our new arrivals page, and finally the brand page on thewatchbox.com.
That's right.
All right. So I have a comment from the V saying, Josh, I will be your client when I come to America. We are awaiting your arrival, the V.
Give me a call.
Welcome, man.
Hey.
Okay. So, moving on to new watches. Let's hit with our biggest gun. Tudor Heritage Black Bay Green.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the newest of the new. This has been out for a few weeks, but it's just starting to make the mainstream rounds. I want to give it a shout out because I think this had to happen. It was foreshadowed by this year's only watch, Black Bay, which was a prelude in a bigger bronze case, mind you, but I feel like this was the tell. And now they've played their hand. So this is a 41mm steel case. This is a watch that is delivered on a steel bracelet in rivet style with a clasp and an accessory NATO strap. So you get both. It's a COSC chronometer with the in-house 5602 automatic 70-hour silicone hairspring Tudor movement. And it's, let's be honest, available only in Harrods in London. But I have good news. It's accessibly priced, and it's not a limited numbered series. It is a numbered series, but no limit to the number. So if you want to get in touch with Harrods, this can be yours for a price of 2,630 British pounds sterling, which comes up to about 3,500 US dollars. Josh, what do you think?
You know what? I think it's really cool. We were actually talking about this in the office today. I was talking with Jason from Monday's show, and so what you've seen lately is an explosion in a lot of the vintage Rolexes, and there's one that looks suspiciously a lot like this watch, the Kermit, which used to trade probably around like $5,000 or $6,000, and now is upwards of 10 grand. So this is actually a good option if you like the look of the Kermit and you like the pedigree of Rolex. This is a great option if you can get your hands on it.
There are a couple of cool little details here. Besides the bezel, the seconds hand tip is green. There's script on the dial that's green. Yes, the bezel is green, but significantly, they wanted to make a shout out to the British heritage of Harrods. So this is a feet first dial, and it's also worth mentioning that it has a special engraving on the back in the style of the 1960s Millstubs. So it has both the Harrods H as well as a Millstub style numbered engraving on the case back. So a lot of little touches that set this apart, make it more than a colored bezel special series. From the bracelet to the strap to the dial to the case back, this is a great way to spend $3,500 in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a bargain. From even though it's not supposed to be limited, it's not going to be too easy to get. Seems like.
I would be shocked if this runs for more than 1 or 1.5 model years. I think this is going to be a scarce watch. I don't know if it's going to be quite as crazy as the JLC London Boutique Edition, but I do think that it's going to be something that will always be selling at its original list or above. I don't think it'll ever sell for less.
Yeah, it seems like that's probably the case. I think we're Tudor dealers here in Philadelphia, and I don't think we can get our hands on this watch new. So.
Yeah, I think, there you go. So get in touch with Harrod's. It's worth the trip. It's a fun place to go, too.
Yeah.
And I'll also give a shout out to Paul Villia, who is joining us from Venice in Italy. Welcome, my man. What are the canals like this time of year? Too cold to go out and swim? I guess you need a gondola at this point. All right, PITA Barcelona. Going back to Southern Europe, from Italy's neighbor to the west, we have the PITA Barcelona Molinos Orbital. This is a watch that's been in development for a really long time. Prototypes have been kicking around since 2009. Of course, it was launched in November at Salon QP, so we're making up for a bit of lost time, but I just found their Facebook post on this yesterday, so cut me some slack. Orbital jeweled wheels actually circle the dial and indicate, you can see in that picture, the blue jewels within the wheel spokes. Those are your displays for minutes and hours, respectively. It's not quite a tourbillon, it's not quite a carousel, but it's wonderfully inventive and the price is right. Moreover, several wheel designs are offered. There is a lot of customization built into this watch, and I'm going to show you just how much in a moment. Who is PITA Barcelona? Well, it's Aniceto Jimenez and his son Daniel out of Barcelona. They make a few dozen watches a year, and I do mean a few dozen. Now, Aniceto is an AHCI luminary. He's up there with the likes of Dufour and FP Journe and, you know, Kari Voutilainen and Vianney Halter and other greats or near greats who are part of the AHCI. So you're getting a substantial watch for your money, and it's not priced very far into the double digits. In fact, I would say most of their watches are priced at less than 10,000 US dollars. You're getting a very bespoke experience. Now, 10 pieces will be available every year, so get in line. That said, starting at 10,320 US dollars, the price is right considering the provenance and the man behind it. Plus, you can order online, and get this, there's a promo code available, and it's there on their site.
That's awesome.
There's also an insane custom options list. How insane? Well, that's part of it. You can get a hand-painted porcelain dial. You can get any metal you want. You can get a case in 39 or 43 millimeters. Do you want it in titanium? Do you want it in stainless steel? Do you want it in any gold or platinum? They can do that. You can style the hands or the wheels such as they are. Almost every part of this watch can be specified. And all of that, and there's a discount code available. Josh, what do you make of this?
I think it's cool. We've talked about PITA Barcelona in the past. I think it was the carousel watch as well.
Yes.
It's different. Yeah, so it, highly customizable. I mean, they make so few watches that it's not a great watch for trading, but it is a great watch for collecting, in my opinion. And there's the value there too. So you're going to spend that kind of money on other watches that are going to be kind of run of the mill. Why not?
Yeah, and I also say this in terms of what you pay for an AHCI member's watches. It's very unusual to see anything priced in the low 5 figures, to say nothing of the many watches PITA offers in the 4-figure range. And I'll also say this, PITA makes a couple of great Oceana and Steam dive watch models. And within the AHCI, diveable watches are really rare. They tend to focus on the haut-de-gamme, métier d'art, dress watches, high complications. It's very rare to see one that you can just flat out beat, and PITA makes those too. And I'll say they're really nice guys, because I mentioned the carousel like months back when we were still in Miami, and Daniel Jimenez, the son of Aniceto and the partner in the business, actually reached out to me. He found my Watch You On email, and he said thank you and invited me to come visit them. And, you know,
let's go.
Red carpet treatment like it was the greatest thing ever. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. Well, it's in the AHCI, this is the most accessible brand, right?
Very much. Yeah. This is easily the most accessible brand, and maybe the nicest folks too.
Cool. It's awesome. I wonder what servicing is like there. If they can build these watches, what's the delivery time? It's usually really quick.
You know, they say 10 per year, and I think 12 months is going to be the maximum, but they generally deliver in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They generally promise like 4 to 8 weeks.
I mean, you can't get your Rolex service in that time.
That's
it's ridiculous. It's amazing. Wow, that's awesome. hats off, you know.
Okay, so guys, we've got one more accessibly priced watch. We're going from the most accessible to the most extreme at the end, so we're building to a crescendo. And we've got a spot built in right after this for your live questions, so don't touch that dial. All right, Oris Big Crown ProPilot Caliber 111. Josh, we love Oris. You're an Oris collector, right?
Yeah, well, I don't have an Oris in my collection currently, but I'm always around to, you know, open to adding something.
You're between Orises at the moment.
That's right, I'm between Orises.
So now this is in blue. You may remember a similar version from 2015 with a gray dial. Well, now you can get it in blue. That original gray dial has become blue, cementing my insistence that gray and blue are essentially interchangeable fads at the moment. That said, 44 millimeters in stainless steel, not revolutionary, but compelling. And one of the reasons is because it's very reasonably priced. It can be purchased on a full bracelet or on a strap, which is Gator. We have it on a Gator strap, which is quite attractive. It does come with a full clasp. You get a lot for your money with the Caliber 111. Manual wind, 10-day power reserve indicator on the dial. Nicely finished for a mostly machine-finished caliber. They did some interesting and unique things with that machine finish. Hacking, quick set seconds, or quick set date, I should say, and a display case back. 100 meters water resistant, so this is your all-around sports watch. It's not just a pilot style watch. $5,250, that is $5,250 to $5,500 US dollars. Josh, how compelling an alternative is this to IWC and Breitling for the same or less money?
Well, I mean, this is like a reach for their brand, so this is on their top end. But, I mean, you do get a lot. So they're having to compete with brands that have bigger names, so usually you're going to get a little bit more, and I mean, you're definitely getting it with a watch like this. And the other thing that I want to add with a brand like Oris, because it's a much smaller brand, is when you call them, you get to talk to them directly. Like I had to get a new crystal in my Oris, and I thought it was going to be a runaround, and I'm like talking to the person, and he's telling me, well, yeah, usually it takes me 3 weeks or so to do this, and I'm like, what do you mean you? Well, I was talking to the watchmaker, so we answered the phone. It was crazy. So, I mean, it seems like it's a really good company from that regard. Their service is really good, and their watches are always seem to be a little bit more value than the money you have to spend on them.
You know, I've heard this story about Oris customer service a couple of times now, that it's very personal, very responsive, and that they've covered unconscionable things under warranty. Like one guy took his watch apart, couldn't get it back together, sent it in as a warranty. I heard that was honored as a warranty
they
claim.
slap it back together.
So Oris has a great reputation, and if you just look on their website, go to any website of any haut-de-gamme brand that uses an Abauche to create a watch, and they're going to give it their own proprietary name, and they're going to try to obscure what it is. You go on Oris's website, they give you the name of the Sellita or ETA caliber as a Sellita or ETA. They tell you exactly what's in the watch. There's a refreshing honesty and lack of pretense about this brand.
Yeah, honesty. That's kind of how I feel about Oris. You know, they're a very honest brand. They kind of know who they are. You know, their watches reflect the money that it goes into and the craftsmanship that goes into making these watches. With a different brand name, you're going to be spending $8,000, $9,000 for a watch like that.
Yeah, and I'll also say this, compared to an IWC 5009, your big Pilot in steel, the 5912, that's a $12,900 watch.
There you go.
This, you're going to pay about $5,000, and you're getting an in-house 10-day power reserve versus the IWC 7-day.
And it's actually, I mean, I hate to say it because I like the big Pilot, but it's wearable. You know, the big Pilot's hard to pull off for most people, including myself.
Yeah, honestly, I find it not just hard to pull off, but hard to pull on. It doesn't really fit my wrist at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We always talk about it. If they made a 44 millimeter big Pilot, I'd be all over it.
The chronographs, the IWC Pilot's chronographs are like a downsized big Pilot. The same shape, same case, same lugs. They fit great. But you could have the Oris, which gives you a longer power reserve, an in-house caliber. It's actually thinner on the wrist and wears more compact. And if you've got a pencil 16 centimeter wrist like me, this wears well.
I have a 7¼ inch wrist, and I still can't pull off that 46.5 millimeter big Pilot. Stinks, man.
All right, so Josh, let me ask you a question. We have a question from AH. What does the service bill look like for an FP Journe?
I mean, I guess it depends. They're very reasonable compared to other brands. You know, it depends on what you're doing. I know if you're getting something like Refinish, like a chronometer blue, that's made of tantalum, it's going to take forever and cost a lot. But I think their prices really reflect, you know, the amount of work that goes into. Same, you know, their watch prices could be double. a lot of brands would be charging double for what they have, but they have their own way of determining prices, and with the service, the same thing.
What I found is it's generally around, by the way, guys, we're going to move to our live chat, live question segment, so if you've got questions, throw them up in the chat box now. It moves so fast that if you put in a question 5 minutes ago, it's already so far past that I can't scroll back. So live questions come through now. If you already asked, please ask again. We're going to do our best to honor this on this snowy night in Philadelphia. My experience has been that FP Journe service bills generally range from $1,500 to $3,000.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
The one thing I will say is that this is quite affordable by the standards of something like an AP, which tends to be on the high side.
Yeah.
Like you're almost always looking at a $2,000 to $4,000 bill with AP.
Yeah, it seems like that.
And I'll say this, the Journe watches in a lot of ways with the rose gold movements and sometimes special cases and delicate dials, they require a lot more specialized service tools. Even just opening the cases with those Holt head screws requires special tools. And here's a piece of advice with Journe. Do not try to open it yourself. And by that I mean at your local watchmaker. Journe has two scales of pricing for service. One is if you've tried to open the watch yourself, there's an automatic surcharge. The other is the charge to simply refinish, reseal, clean, oil, and adjust your watch. Do it right, do it with Journe from start to finish. All right, so here's a question from Tom Locke who's asking, do we have any recommendation on where to go from an Omega Speedy Professional, from a Speedmaster Professional, the Moonwatch? What do you think about this, Josh? Any natural instinct, or is it dependent?
Yeah, it's totally dependent. I mean, that's basically it.
I would say my feeling is that there are two ways you can look at this. Do you want to flesh out your Omega collection and start a theme, or would you rather say, I'm a chronograph guy and I want a Rolex Daytona and a Breitling Navitimer? Because that would be my natural instinct. I would say you could go one of three ways. One, you just go straight Omega. We'll talk about that in a sec. Or you go great chronographs. You go and you get the Rolex Daytona, the 116520 in steel, just discontinued. There's lots of them out there. That's a watch to buy alongside your Omega. They're different in character. They have a different history. One's an auto, one's a manual. They fit differently. One's more natural on a strap. That's the Speedy Pro. One's more natural on a bracelet. That's the Daytona. Add yourself a Navitimer. Personally, I like the Navitimer 806, the vintage reference, because it still costs about what you'd pay for a new Navitimer. So there's no reason not to at this point. Or you can go with the Navitimer 01 in 43mm steel. For me, that's a great way to get into a Breitling Navitimer with a manufacturer movement. Okay, other way you could go. You get one of the greats from each major brand. So that's to say you get a Rolex Submariner to go with your Moonwatch.
That makes sense.
You know, you probably still wind up getting the Breitling Navitimer at that point. Or you go straight Omega. In that case, if he wants to stay within the Omega brand, what are the logical ways to move on from a Speedy Pro?
Well, you can, okay, so you keep the Speedy Pro, then you go for like a traditional Seamaster, like what you have. You can do the Planet Ocean. You can go into an Aqua Terra. So they have a full line of watches that you can collect, and they're all going to be somewhat affordable as well. So I think there's a million different ways to go. It depends on what your needs are. Do you want more sport watches? Do you want iconic watches? Do you want to stay within one brand, or do you want watches that are going to be able to be tradable down the road? So there's a lot of questions you got to ask yourself when you're determining what you want to, how you want to build your collection. A lot of people, someone like me, just see a watch, they like it, they buy it, and then they decide later, you know. But yeah, I think that there's, you can even add yourself, one of these.
Yeah, a Panerai Luminor.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking about getting something out of each brand, obviously I have the Radiomir, but the Luminor is the iconic piece to go for.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Right, exactly. So you can do the Sub, you can do the Speedy Pro, you can get yourself a Luminor, and you can get all these watches for under $10,000 each. It's a nice collection of watches, and then you go maybe even like a Rolex Cellini or something like that for a dress watch or a JLC. There's a lot of different ways you can go. So
now, just for reference, because folks love your watch, but I don't think you mentioned the reference. That is a 183, right?
No, this is a 380. This is the Panerai 380.
Not the logo?
It is the logo. The logo is a 380. Here, let's see if we can get. There we go. A little close-up shot there.
For those who saw Josh's watch at the beginning, if you're talking about getting an iconic watch,
let me help you out.
You can get either a wire lug Radiomir, which resembles the old Panerai 3646 combat watches, or you can get a Luminor, which resembles the later 6152 combat watches.
Exactly.
Either one is going to cost you way less than $10,000. You could make a theme out of steel sports watches that you could buy for under 10 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a watch you can get under 5.
I want to give a shout out to Adam J. Odell, who is actually thanking us. He's bought a Duomet black dial, Jaeger LeCoultre, and a Reverso Rouge from watching the show. He says he's a JLC fanboy. You are in good company.
There you go.
We all love JLC
Black
here,
dial Duomax. There you go.
I've
Single-handedly raising the market on that watch.
I love that watch.
It's a great watch. It's unbelievable.
So, comments coming in. Here's a question from Stephen Murphy asking, Tim, what do you think of the Omega 60th Anniversary Railmaster? Okay, this is a watch that came out this year. It was part of a 60th Anniversary trilogy. The Seamaster, the Railmaster, and the Speedmaster. I think it's a great watch. I would also say it's probably the most unusual of the trilogy because everyone knows the Speedy, most people know the Seamaster, but the Railmaster was always kind of the unsung hero of the trilogy. If you really want to go obscure, get yourself a vintage Omega Ranchero that was part of that same family, and no one talks about that watch.
Ranchero.
I want to say it's like the
like
the reference like 2990 or something like that. But the old Omega Ranchero, it was the entry-level sports watch. I think this is a great watch. I think you'll lose some money in time. I don't think it'll hold its value like the Speedmaster, the Seamaster. I do think as a steel sports watch from a great brand, it'll always have a market. And I also think that realistically, it's probably going to be one of the first that you can find pre-owned of the trilogy that came out this year. So keep your eyes peeled. I think pre-owned is the way to buy. But if you buy new, you're still getting a tremendous watch that should hold its value fairly well.
Agreed.
Okay.
Got a lot of questions here.
Adam J. Odell asking a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give him a good answer on that one. The ladies' watches. So he's asking, what is the best ladies' watch with a 24-hour dial? Clean, white dial with a bracelet around 25 to 32 millimeters. I tell you, the amount of time I spend thinking about ladies' watches is probably, slim to none or zero to none there. So
I would have to say that your best bet here is to get one of the Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso Duofaces. Or if you want, you could get the the Duoface has a coupled movement, which means the back dial actually just works as a 24-hour dial for the front, whereas the Reverso Duo in the Grand tie case would be 44 millimeters lug to lug, about 26 across. A lady could easily wear that watch, and then you get a true dual time that has the 24-hour distinction. If you want a ladies' watch in that size with the 24-hour capability and a really small case in that size range, you might want to go back and look at the old late 1950s Jaeger LeCoultre Quartermaster because it would meet your definition. Or I believe there is a Zenith Elite powered Concorde GMT. If you type in Zenith powered Concorde GMT, I want to say it was one of the Impresarios. That was out in the 2000s and late 90s, and that will give you your dual time ladies watch in the size you specify.
agreed.
There we go.
Totally unscripted. Unbelievable answer. All right.
All right.
All right.
So
Cartier for ladies, but no 24-hour dial. Philip Hayden, that was his answer. Yeah, I'd say there's plenty of ladies' watches out there. I don't know too many 24-hour dials or GMTs or chronographs or anything like that.
there is the Cartier Pasha Night and Day, designed by Sven Anderson, that does have a 24-hour dial and a petite case. That would be my choice for your lady if you're going the Cartier 24-hour dial.
How could I have forgotten? Jeez.
Of course.
Send your ladies watch questions in for two.
The ultimate controversy, guys. Here's a great one from Joshua Polanski. What do we think about faux patina? First, Josh, explain what faux patina is.
It's going to be like darkened lume. So use Superluminova, but you're going to have like a brown tint to it. So a lot of Panerais have been doing this for a while. If you ask O.J. Watley, he coined the term dirty dial, but it's been seen a lot. Omega does it a lot. What other brands? Tudor.
Panerai, Tudor does it. I will say even JLC has done it with the geophysics.
That's right. Yeah, they have. That's right. With the blue dial geophysics that we talked about last week.
The blue dial geophysic makes it easier to see, that's for sure, but it's also on the standard geophysic and the tribute to geophysic. Here's my thought, guys. I like it as a styling feature. So if you look at something like the PAM 661 that has basically rose gold indices with faux patina, it's absolutely fabulous and fatuous at the same time. There's no way a watch made out of carbon fiber with rose gold indices is going to have real tritium patina. But here's the thing, it looks great. So as a styling feature that's consonant with the design of the watch, I think you just look at it the way you look at color. How do you look at blued hands? How do you look at a gray dial? How do you look at a green bezel? So I think if it's just to style the watch and add a touch of charismatic color, I like it. if it's trying to ape a vintage watch and it's doing it crudely or as a pander, or it seems like a secondhand knockoff of something done better elsewhere, when it's trying to look vintage as opposed to just look cool, I think it's kind of cheesy.
Well, I'd say that there's a few Paneras that I'd say pull it off really, really well.
Yeah.
There's the two that come to mind, the PAM 356, which is like the last daylight chrono that they made. That was one of the first watches I ever saw with the faux patina. It looks really good. And the 359 also.
Yes.
That's the one with the Arabic numerals, like a military style dial. And that's like a sandwich dial with the faux patina. I think that it's been pulled off really, really well there. And I mean, I have a Panera that has actual patina, and the downside of that is on those tritium is that there's no lume whatsoever. So it's kind of a best of both worlds, especially if you're getting a watch that's known for having a lot of lume. You know.
Yeah, very much. I think if it looks attractive and it adds charm to the watch, and only you can decide what adds charm, but I think when it's a styling feature like any other color, it works well. If it's consonant with the rest, great. If it just seems like a pander where they took something that already existed and they're like, hey, look, now it's a fake patina. You're going to think you're buying a vintage watch or a vintage style watch, then it's lame. Yeah,
there's a lot of pandering in the watch world, unfortunately. It's just part of it, you know.
So, speaking of the broader watch world, new watches continued. We've got some great ones. Now we're moving into the seriously heavy metal. The Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso Tribute Duoface Casa Fagliano Limited Edition. All right, 18 karat rose gold. It's about 43 millimeters lug to lug, about 25.5 across, and it's 9.2 millimeters thick. So in other words, this watch is about the size of the old Reverso Grand Tie. If you can wear that or you've worn that, then you know exactly how this is going to wear.
Great size.
This has been reported as a 49 millimeter case elsewhere. It's not. No. Okay, Slate Sunray dial. Beautiful. Again, I think gray is the new blue. And I will also say that it has a handsome silver Clou de Paris reverse travel dial on the back. What's unique here is that we're seeing the Reverso Duo executed with a Fagliano strap. Manufacturer caliber 854-2. The 854, around since 1994, is now free-sprung, 19-jewel manual wind, 42-hour power reserve, shaped for the case and properly sized. I appreciate that. And I will also say it's delivered on a brown Casa Fagliano shell cordovan horsehide strap. Now, this is free advice, guys. The first time JLC did this, back in 2011 with the Reverso Special Edition for the U.S. market and the U.S. boutiques, replacement strap orders for that Fagliano strap became an absolute nightmare. The ancient mom and pop shop in Argentina that makes these things moves at a snail's pace, and they have a lot of priority orders for polo boots that take precedent over watch straps. So I would say here's what you do when you buy this watch. You put the original strap in the box, you order a shell cordovan from Horween Leather in Chicago that looks exactly the same, you order a Fagliano replacement strap. When that arrives a year later, you take it off the Horween, you put the new Casa Fagliano strap on your watch, and you wear it while still having your original strap to sell the watch if you ever plan, or as a replacement if anything happens to the watch replacement strap you ordered. Just keep in mind, it's going to take you a year to get a strap, so plan ahead for replacements.
Sounds like you put some thought into this.
I did. Many people have asked me this question over the years with respect to the original watch and the original Fagliano.
Yeah.
My answer is just get a strap that looks just like it from the same material, put the original in the box, and wait for the boat that's shipping these things from Argentina to arrive a year later.
Like a gorilla horse.
Okay, guys, but only 100 people will have the pleasure, and it's potentially an $18,260 watch US. I'm saying that because I've reverse engineered from a European euro price that includes VAT, which varies a bit locality to locality, and kind of extracting and extrapolating from those numbers sometimes produces a higher figure, but figure you're not going to get on board for much less than 18,000 US when this comes out, and it is exclusive to JLC boutiques. Okay, so right here we have Adam J. Odell saying he contacted Fagliano today and they said they couldn't get a strap. Okay, well, there you go, guys. The theory obtains. And we have another comment from Stephen Murphy saying he got his in 3 weeks. All right, well, you know what? Quantum physics strikes from time to time. The inexplicable happens. And I will also say this, guys, that is probably the most interesting new watch that you can buy, but we've got one that you can't that might be the most interesting watch of the week. Okay, Greubel Forsey Nano Foudroyant EWT, which stands for Extreme Watch Technology, or Experimental Watch Technology, per Greubel Forsey. Technically, this is episode 2 after a schematic that they showed in January of this year when this project kicked off. The Mechanical Nano project, of which this is episode 2, is a 10-year slog in Greubel Forsey's own horological laboratory that they set up for the purpose to create a 180-day mechanical power reserve, or roughly 1 calendar year. Now, this watch, which is assembled and finished, I have to say, like a developmental prototype, as only Greubel Forsey does a developmental prototype, meaning it's almost perfect by anyone else's standards, is not for purchase, but it features the world's smallest lightning second hand. There, I had to circle it and blow up the photo. It is 1.4 millimeters long, including the counterweight. There you go. See, much larger. Now you can barely not see it, as opposed to not see it outright. And it makes 1 circuit per second in 1/8 of a second steps. Like the art piece collaboration with micro sculptor Willard Wiggin, there is a magnifying port in the case flank that allows you to see the focal point of the watch, in this case, the foudroyant. Here's the thing. That magnifier is the equivalent of a 23-power loop, or roughly twice what watchmakers use professionally to oil capstones. So that's rather extreme, but it's what you need to get a load of what you're paying for. And although this is not for sale, I imagine it will be frightfully expensive. A micro gearing system developed exclusively for this watch drives the foudroyant directly off the escape wheel using a conical pinion and what I believe are gears etched by photolithography. So if we have that directly off the escape wheel drive system to show you how it works, this is another component that you can't see, but I've circled it for your benefit so you can at least see where it's supposed to be. There you go. Now you can see. So no pricing has been quoted for this early. By the way, guys, look at the finish on that. This is something that's designed to be thrown away. You have mirrored anglage on the edges of bridges that are designed for use in a lab. All right, I'm convinced. But you can also see a traditional overcoil right next to this extreme piece of technology that's made experimentally using technology designed to create microchips. So it's got the romance of a real mechanical watch in there. Okay, so in terms of pricing, let's talk about references. Greubel Forsey's timepieces rank amongst the most expensive non-vintage and haute jewelry or high jewelry pieces you can buy. So for something that isn't a vintage Daytona or covered in gems, this is about as high as it gets. $1.2 million US for their Grand Sonnerie that came out this year. And 2016's entry-level Greubel Forsey in steel retails for about $180,000 US in steel. Greubel Forsey watches are the horological equivalent of this. We have a wonderful picture of the Mercedes-Benz AMG Concept 1 supercar. 2.3 to 2.7 million when you can get it. Formula 1 drivetrain for the road. It's a lab for the future, featuring the highest technology that's theoretically possible today. That's Greubel Forsey for you guys. I would assume in about 5 years you'll be able to buy this 180-day power reserve watch. Bring money. Josh, have we ever had a Greubel Forsey in-house to sell?
I haven't seen one. I think maybe we might have partnered on a deal with one of our high-end dealers, but I don't think we ever had one in house. I've never actually seen one in person. I
know Govberg is able to order a new one, but I don't think anyone has ever partaken. If you're out there and you've got a hankering for a Grand Sonnerie that will cost you as much as several nice houses, maybe a nice neighborhood in the flyover states, give us a call.
Yeah, give me a call.
Yeah, give him, make his year.
Make everyone's year. Let's enjoy ourselves here.
All right. So here's an interesting note. Industry news. SIHH plans 2018, guys. I'm going to Geneva.
Oh, congrats.
Or I should say I'm going back to Geneva. So going to Geneva to photograph and film 2018's new watch debuts from about 3 dozen. Josh took that picture.
I did.
From 2018's cream of the crop in the haut-de-gamme. 36 high horology brands, including a lot of independents and everything Richemont sells, will be there. Going to Geneva is much better than the time I went to Costco to look at watches. Invicta, the one to buy if you're going to buy a lot. Right alongside the protein bars.
99% off in the boutique.
Actually, I think the Invictas were discounted more than the protein bars.
Nice. Yeah, well, they're probably worth about the same.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It was a big box. Probably lasted as long as the watch. All the same. So AH is asking, which brand are you looking forward to seeing? Well, I would say probably a combination of Moser and Ressence.
Cool. Yeah, I think there was a Ressence training that I missed this week in our office. So
Damn, that would have been cool.
Yeah, very upsetting. Maybe you can give me some private lessons on Ressence.
By the way, guys, Ressence Type 3 coming on my Instagram this week. Tim_Mosso on Instagram. Be there. So I will be at SIHH from January 15th through January 18th, viewing the 2018 debuts over 3 dozen of the top brands. Let me know in the comment threads below this video, and send your questions to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Let me know what you want to see, which brands interest you most. As we see more and more pre-SIHH stuff, you're going to know what's going to be there. So give me a heads up. I'm going with my cameraman and my videographer, and I'm going in depth. I might even trade a little bit of paint with the Blog to Watch crew and sit in on some of the private showings with them. We're talking about pooling resources. So let me know, and I'll make the most of that visit so I can share it here when I come back. All right, best article of the week. Guys, this week we acknowledge something that committed watch enthusiasts already have discovered, which is that some of the best luxury watch journalism is actually written by and for watch enthusiasts on forums. Yeah. So, watches you shouldn't have missed during the last Salon QP is this week's best article of the week. Link in the description box below if you're watching this recorded. This was posted in the Watch Pro site Horological Meandering section. It's by Foversta, a moderator and veteran poster on Purists Pro and its successor Watch Pro site. He's an authority in high-end watches, and thus he shows you original photography in this post with detailed commentary and insights from the Salon QP show in London, featuring watches from, among others, David Kondo, GOS Watches, Garrick, Kari Voutilainen, and Beauvais. Wow. This is a great post for the photos alone. The insights are the reason you're going to want to bookmark this one for future reference. All images and notes on the maker and product as he discovered them, and a compelling review of some of the most important new watches and exhibitors at this year's Salon QP. It's a forum that's only been around since about 2009. It's run by Britain's QP magazine, and it is, I would say, next to SIHH, the most important single forum for independent brands. You're going to see very few mainstream brands there. You'll see MB&F, which is mainstream by QP standards, and Girard-Perregaux. Almost everyone else is the name on the watch being the man who makes the watch. So Josh, remind us one more time, what is your Instagram handle?
It's at Mr. Thanos. At Mr. Thanos, that's me.
That is a fact. Mr. Thanos is Instagramming. Is that a verb?
I mean, it might as well be.
It is now.
Yeah.
Take that, Shakespeare. You're not the only one who can invent English words.
Gramming, posting things. Who knows?
Instagrammerizer.
That's
With
right.
my Instagrammerizer pocket phone, I will show you De Bethune tonight. And remember, subscribe to this channel if you like our content, and comment in the comment box below. Remember, if you want to see my Instagram, it's Tim_Mosso on Instagram. I post daily. I post big pictures of watches and videos. Check out our new website at thewatchbox.com. And as we make our way through the snow, you can relax while viewing our newest arrivals. I'm back with Jason this Monday on Monday Mailbag. Till then, I'm Tim.
I'm Josh.
This is The Watchbox, and thanks for logging on.